Hello everyone, Darcinova here. This is my review on the first book of the Fire and Ice series, which is known as Game of Thrones if you watch the TV series, by George R.R. Martin, A Game of Thrones, which is the first book of the series, which season 1 would be based off of. A novel that was published in the mid-1990s. It was something different from what people expected from the fantasy genre. And to be honest, for those who have read a lot of fantasy novels would probably think that's a good thing. Of course, there's some people that don't like the influence that George R.R. Martin has had on literature. And to be honest with you, I'll give my opinion on that on another day. But George R.R. Martin, I feel like, does a great job of crafting a world that readers could invest themselves in. Why is that? Well, each chapter of this book, the entire series in general, focuses on a specific character. One chapter could focus on Ned Stark. One chapter could focus on Catelyn, Arya, Sansa, Jon Snow, and Tavian. It's an interesting way of telling your story, and I feel like it works really well. I feel like it's a way to actually explore events that happen around the same time, but through their perspective. Even though there's some characters would say, like Ned, that could be featured in the chapters of Sansa or Arya, and etc. Though they could be featured in his chapters. But those chapters are primarily told through those characters' point of view. And I feel like this gives you a chance to read and know what's going on in their head, what their thoughts. It's not, this isn't like first person. No, it's not. But I feel like this was a great way to introduce the characters and the world. I think George R.R. Martin is a great writer. I feel like he takes the readers and just grabs a hold of them. And once you start reading, you'll not want to stop. You'll keep turning the page until you're done. And you're just like anxiously waiting for the next book. Or you're just anxiously wanting to pick up the next book in your local bookstore or on your shelf and to start reading that one. Or the torture of having to wait years upon years for the next one. He does a great job of making his readers want more. This is how a series should be written. Honestly. I was reluctant to give this series a shot because the chance of it never being finished, because he may pass away before that happens. But honestly, I want to experience the very thing that inspired the TV series. The storyline, I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to give too much away. But if you've seen the TV series, you already know the storyline. There's various stories that are going on around the same time. Dany, who's the last of the Targaryens. Then you have Ned Stark, along with his daughters Arya and Sansa. Then you have Catelyn and Tavian Lannister. Then you have Jon Snow. There's many different storylines that are going on at once. But don't get it twisted. They are all working on to merging at some point. It's just they take place at different regions. Jon Snow is in the Night's Watch. Catelyn is trying to find out who tried to kill her son and crippled him. Ned is dealing with a conspiracy, with Robert. And Sansa, being engaged to Joffrey. Oh boy, I can talk about that little fucking incestuous piece of shit, but I'll give away too much. if I talk about Joffrey and how much I hate that piece of shit. But I could tell you this. This actually will make you hate him more than if you watch the series, because the amount of detail it gets into and some of the things that he does is actually even more fucked up than is in the TV series. He has the butcher's boy. I don't think it's been a while since I've seen season 1, but get freaking butchered by his men. This kid is fucking sick and twisted and evil. This does a good job of making you hate these evil people. However, there is a shade of gray. I mean, Tyrion Lannister, he isn't a bad guy. He's not a good person either, but there's somewhere in between. There's some characters that you're going to love, and there's some characters you'll absolutely hate. And George R.R. Martin does a great job of doing that, of you falling in love with these characters, and when something happens to them, it makes you angry at the people that actually commit these things to them. Even Sansa, who's a character I couldn't stand when I was reading this, because I felt she was acting like a spoiled little shit. Even you could feel sorry for her. I mean, it doesn't come off that way as much in the series like it does in the book, but he does a great job of making you feel sorry for characters that you don't really like at first. You don't want anything to happen to these characters, and it's heartbreaking when things do happen. And this sets up for future installments, which is something that's very rare that an author does right. Ending a book and making you craving more. Game of Thrones, the first book of the series, of the Fire and Ice series, I'm just going to call it Game of Thrones to make it simpler, I give it a masterpiece rating. I feel like this does stand the test of time, and I believe it will stand the test of time. And if you have not read this yet, pick it up and give it a shot, even if you've already seen the series. It could be something you could do while you're waiting anxiously for season 7 and 8. Because it's going to be another 2 years before The World by George R.R. Martin comes to a close, in the cinematic part of it anyway. So here you go. I recommend this to anyone who loves the TV series or someone who just wants to read a good fantasy novel. Either way, you're going to get a good book. Though if you insist on reading it, read the hardcover, not the paperback. Trust me. You will thank me later. This is Star Sinovia, over and out. Have a great day, and see you guys next time.